what you want from your sideline guy is something other than the generic questions. And he'll say things that in the booth you go, didn't know that. Probably wouldn't have known that until after the game if Evan hadn't told us. In short, he's terrific at what he does, in addition to being a really nice guy. They're not all nice guys in this business. Evan is one of them.
This is The Opening Drive, presented by First Financial Mortgage in Fort Smith.
Evan, appreciate you joining us this morning. I know Tommy wants to ask you about your hair coming up, but I do want to start with the late Greg Gumbel, and obviously your former colleague had some just incredible things to say about you. What was it like working for him at CBS, working with him?
First of all, appreciate you guys having me and putting that together. And hearing Greg's voice, I know where that comes from, that specific clip. That's a ways back. And he meant so much to me on so many levels. But really, the first year I started doing NFL sidelines was with Greg Gumbel and Trent Green. It was Trent Green's first year. So Greg was just kind of the leader of our group. And he was obviously already a legend at that point. That was now 11 years ago. But he just had this humility and this ability to relate to me. At that point, I was, I think, 29, maybe 30, and just always be there to support, but also not overly serious about what it is we're doing. And I think that's helpful, especially for young folks, because there are stakes attached, there's pressure, but at the end of the day, it's sports, and we should be enjoying ourselves. And Greg always had a great time. So, man, we're missing him a lot right now.
Evan, you mentioned the NFL there. I wonder if you could talk about maybe the difference in dynamics. We watch you on NFL Sundays, but tomorrow night you'll be in Providence, probably there now.
Yeah.
What's the difference, like covering a game in football and in the NCAA tournament in basketball?
Night and day on so many levels. I mean, just from the mechanics of it, they're shorter, they're indoors. Obviously, we have some indoor football games, but the biggest difference, and it's something I really enjoy, it's refreshing. Even though we have business in college sports now at the highest level, whether it's NIL and what coaches are making and all the things that we talk about a lot, it's still young folks. And I find it refreshing to come off of an NFL season where you're dealing with guys in their late 20s, early 30s, especially the stars and multi-billion-dollar business. And now it's more 17 to 21, 22-year-olds that, even if they're making a little money now, are still wide-eyed about what it is we're walking into starting tomorrow here in Providence. And I really appreciate that. And then you have the coaches, and our site is loaded with them, and I enjoy that aspect too, because it feels a little bit more like mutually beneficial. They need the media at times to sell their program and sell their brand, and we're here to do that, and I enjoy that process, especially over the last few years, getting to know these guys a little bit better.
Evan Washburn, CBS Sports, with us on the Lewis Automotive Hotline. I want to ask you about the names and the personalities in Providence. Bill Self in Kansas, John Calipari, Arkansas, Rick Pitino, St. John's. I mean, I'm sure as you're doing your prep and thinking about the questions you may want to engage these legends of the game with, that's got to be exciting to have that much star power from the bench in one region.
No doubt. Don't forget about Matt Painter, Will Wade's got a unique story that's brought him back into the limelight. And I think it's only heightened, guys, because this will be our third year of doing it. We have these under 12 and under 8 coaches interviews that are required as part of the NCAA tournament. So you're getting these coaches, and then possibly at halftime. Now we're doing players at halftime, which would be cool. But you're getting them in these raw moments. And I think over the years we've found that at times people complain because coaches won't say anything or the coaches don't want to do it. But the ones that we have at this site, I'm optimistic because I've done it with a few of them, including Cal, that even if they don't want to do it, they can't help but deliver in the moment and provide some real context and a window into what's happening in a game and what they're about to go talk about in their huddles. So that, I think, only enhances what you're talking about when it comes to this site and the coaches. I mean, you guys are going to hear from them in the heat of battle, if you will.
So as you look at the Razorbacks and you prepare for the game against Kansas on Thursday night, what has jumped out to you from a team that's just below middle of the pack in the SEC, that's had an up and down season, but but more ups than downs towards the end of the regular season?
Well, that's always what I lean on. What are you now? And look, we know that's not really what's the priority maybe in the selection process because they value so much of the non-conference and all those things. But at this point, all those metrics are out the window. And I look at, okay, what's the team that's rolling into Providence and what have they done in their last few games? And that includes conference tournaments in some cases. But for Arkansas, the return of Boogie, how that impacts things, that'll be a huge storyline for us. And just what Cal can do with this group. I mean, he's great at kind of, and I think, and he put words to this, embracing that underdog mentality. And that's not something, we had him last year in Pittsburgh when they lost to Oakland when he was at Kentucky. They were never an underdog when they were rolling in with Big Blue Nation. I do feel like, not just from a seed perspective, but maybe from an outside perspective, that's maybe the narrative around this team. And I think that can be powerful, especially when you have somebody like Cal motivating.
Evan Washburn's our guest here on our opening drive, brought to you by First Financial Mortgage. Evan, a lot has been made about Boogie Flan coming back for the NCAA tournament and getting to play tomorrow night. We don't know. Cal's talked about it a little bit. We don't know until the game actually begins what his role is going to be. What do you think about the shift that we're going to see for Arkansas in the rotation starting tomorrow night?
Well, I think there's always the best laid plan when these guys are coming off injury, whether it's, I mean, we use the term in football, the pitch count of like how many snaps is a guy going to play. And in basketball, it's like, oh, we want him to get, 15 to 20 minutes. I think where we'll really find out is whether he's, if he's starting, then, okay, the first 4 to 8 minutes of the game, that media timeout, and how do they look? Or if he's coming in off the bench and it's at the under 16 or around there, or even around the under 12, those first kind of 3 to 5 minutes out on the floor, I think will tell fans and us covering the game a lot about what his impact can be. I will say as a freshman in the NCAA tournament is a lot to throw on somebody, even if they're as accomplished as he is and played in plenty of big moments, big games coming up in the high school and AAU ranks. It's just different. And I'm expecting the scene here in Providence to be pretty wild. It's a smaller venue. So all those things factor in, but it's the complete unknown in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Tommy, you want to ask him the hair question before we go?
Well, yeah. I mean, what's the secret? I mean, it doesn't matter. Like right now, outside of our studio building, we're in Arkansas, but it feels like West Texas. I mean, it's like blowing 50 miles an hour. You have been in some in the NFL, some high wind, high velocity situations, and that dude doesn't seem to move. So what's the secret to getting that thing locked in?
Well, I think it starts with genetics. So I'll shout out my parents. I think my dad had some pretty good hair, so I'll go there out of the gate. And the reality of it is, and it's funny, I was looking at, I was packing yesterday and what I needed to bring, and I do use a product, and I'll say it out loud as much as I can because I've never heard from them, but Men's Crew Pomade is my go-to. And I would love to do any sort of partnership, sponsorship as possible. Because I get more questions about my hair, guys. My joke is always, I think I could say the most powerful thing on TV or maybe the most controversial thing. And no one would care because they'd just be interested in what's happening on top of my head, which, I get it. It's a visual medium. It's applying that pomade, but it's, how you start out of the shower, but then the reapplication over the course of the day, depending on the elements. You mentioned high winds. I would say humidity, something you deal with down in Arkansas as well. That can be a killer. So it really is. It's about being consistent. It's much like being an athlete. You got to be consistent in your preparation. You got to be consistent in your technique throughout a game. So that's kind of how it's done. It's starting early and keeping it going throughout the day.
You hear that, Ty? I mean, Evan, I work with a guy who's 30 that takes a lot of pride in his hair, but doesn't put the work in the way you do. And
the work's not done when you get out of the bathroom in the morning. It's just getting started.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Evan, we know you got places to be. Appreciate you joining us this morning. We'll see you tomorrow in Providence, okay?
Yeah, again, thanks for that rejoin with Greg. That was very cool. And enjoy the week, guys.
Thank you, Evan.
Thanks, Evan. That's all Colton. Colton, great job on that rejoin. That is your opening drive here this morning.
BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for betting on all the madness. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from college basketball to a $200,000 bracket contest, BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every Cinderella story to every hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here.